Passionate about music.
JohnJoseph is with us this morning, starring in a new self-written piece called Boy in a Dress, which is going to the Edinburgh Festival. We're going to be at the Stand in Edinburgh. If you want to know more about this, by the way, thestand.co.uk. So how did you get into this whole area of performance art in the first place?
It was just bad luck, really. I was at college in Berkeley, and my friend Gina persuaded me that we ought to make a double act in which she would wear one of my suits and that I would wear her cocktail dress, and we would go on and give a quasi-satirical, quasi-philosophical lecture to Janet Jackson's "What Have You Done For Me Lately?" And she called herself John Paul Tarts, and I called myself Simone de Boudoir. So we were like this existentialist comedy act or something. And really, it was just completely by chance, but I guess I got the bug, and I never looked back. It was so important for me to make this kind of work because it's work you can make with your own body, with your own experiences. You know, you don't need to have an entourage around you. You don't need a record company or a publishing house behind you. You can just get up, do it, set up your own little stage, and preach to the world. And I found that DIY, that punk ethos, really empowering, actually.
Now, you're taking this show to the Edinburgh Festival. You're going to be at the Stand in August. The show's called Boy in a Dress. Just give us a little bit of précis about what the show's about.
It's an autobiographical show which tells the story of my life growing up Catholic and third-gendered and very poor in late 80s, early 90s Liverpool on the council estates, and then moving to America and just all of the wild things that happened to me along the way, trying to bring together sexuality and spirituality, and finding community and learning how to understand who I was and to celebrate that experience.
Why did you want to go to America?
Well, it just really seemed to offer a huge amount of things I did not have in my own life. When you're growing up, especially if you grow up on the council estates in the north of England, America has a certain glamour. It had a certain glamour to me then. It seemed that it was a place you could remake yourself in a kind of anonymity, because just turning up knowing nobody in America, I got to recreate myself as I saw myself, and it was a really powerful experience, actually, because I was kind of born again in America. Nobody knew me. I didn't have any cultural baggage, and I just got to piece myself together again.
Do you feel vulnerable on stage because you're telling your life story to people who don't know you?
Yeah, it's really strange, actually, because I performed this material. I did a 3-week run in London, and it was every night and twice on Saturdays. So obviously the stories are very personal, but after a certain amount of time working and rehearsing and performing it becomes something else, a little outside of yourself, actually. It goes from being your experiences to being a play or a performance. So I have a strange objectivity to it now, where I catch myself sometimes remembering, oh, yes, this actually is my life. Oh. And also people ask me at the end of performances all the time, they always say, so who wrote that? And I say, well, I did. And they say, oh, well, what is it based on? And I say, my life, it actually happened. And they're like, no, it never did. Sure, that couldn't have, not all of that could never happen to one person.
What's the most sort of bizarre things that happened to you when you were in the States?
Oh my goodness, my friend Gina and I, we would cause the most terrible scenes. We had a penchant for going out dressed in swimsuits. We'd always go out in platform heels and bikinis, basically. And at one time at Christmas, actually, so it was freezing cold, I remember we were going to a party and there was a really big line and we didn't want to wait, so we threw away our coats, so we were just in the swimsuits and high heels, and walked to the front of the queue and were shivering like, but you must let us in, it's snowing and we're just wearing swimsuits. And they did, they let us skip the queue. And then when we were inside, Gina saw this huge Christmas tree covered in baubles and took up all of the baubles from the tree and smashed them on the floor because she was kind of drunk and thought they made a beautiful noise. So we were promptly thrown out of the party again. And about 10 minutes later, we found ourselves in another bar with a goat's head mounted on the wall.
Oh, my God.
Which somehow Gina persuaded me to help her climb up onto the ATM machine so she could steal the goat's head off the wall. And then we ran out into the night and woke up the next morning terribly hungover with a goat's head in the room, and neither of us could remember where it had come from.
That is very Godfather, isn't it?
They're not untypical at all of how I was spending my time.
Do you need courage to be able to behave like that publicly?
Yes, you can call it courage or you can call it like delusion or something. But yeah, I mean, you have to be a brave person if you're going to be anything. You know, if you're not just going to let your experience of life just wash over you entirely. If you decide you are a thing and you want to be a thing, then that always takes courage, because I mean, the easy option is just to go off to Primark, pick up what's on the sale rail, you know, and then trundle about reading Grazie magazine and watching whatever's on BBC4. You know, if you want to take your own influences and make something of yourself, then it always takes courage, whether you decide you want to be an organic farmer or, you know, a renegade performance artist. I mean, life takes courage.
You sort of described my life there for a second.
Grazia? Primark?
Going to Primark and watching BBC4.
Oh my God, save us. I've just thought I've got two new favourite dinner table guests, Penny Arcade and your good self.
Yeah.
Because people who think out the box, from which in our community we have to, because we are different whether we like it or not. We are. Yes. So yeah, I can't wait to see you in A Boy in a Dress.
How big a part in all of this has your sexuality played?
In writing the material or performing the material?
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess the whole thing. I mean, obviously it played into the writing of it and everything, and the experiences that you had in New York as well.
Yes, I mean, well, I don't know if I can divorce my sexuality from, you know, my day-to-day life, and it's writing based on my life, so it's there throughout. I mean, it's not a show about coming out. It's not a show about being gay. You know, it's really not. That's kind of taken for granted throughout the show. I think it informs my work because it's not the basis of who I am, but it really plays a major part, mainly for other people, actually, because I always say that I'm not confused about my gender or sexuality, but a lot of other people are, you know? So I have this conversation with a lot of people, like, so can you tell me about your gender, or can you tell me if you're a boy or a girl? And so it seems to be a major source of interest for other people. It's not desperately interesting to myself. I mean, I have red hair as well, which is a source of endless fascination to, like, old ladies on the bus, you know. But to me, it's just, I have red hair. So whilst I can't divorce it from my everyday life, it appears in the writing and the work as a given, I suppose.
Well, listen, it's been fascinating talking to you. Thanks for talking to Gaydar.
Really, my pleasure.
And good luck at this year's Edinburgh Festival. As I say, you're going to be at the Stand. Previews start on the 2nd of August, and the details are at thestand.co.uk. JohnJoseph, A Boy in a Dress, thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Passionate about music.